Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18-hour special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. On the show today, a chat with Total Environment on our Insight segment, and on Bright Sparks tonight, we're featuring Only 2 Feet and Imaginarium. In a market which is crowded at all price points, Bengaluru-based Total Environment is known for its customized detailing. I caught up with its founder and chairman Kamal Sagar to talk about how regulation in the real estate industry is changing the very nature of the game in the realty space and how MSMEs can create a USP for themselves in this market. Listen in. Kamal, thank you very much for speaking with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. Let's start by asking you to very briefly tell our viewers about Total Environment.
Okay, so we are a 21-year-old design firm, really, which also got into development, construction and development of real estate back in '96. We currently have projects in Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune. We are a 670-member strong team here based out of Bangalore. Our forte is really residential. We do 90% of what we do is residential, is homes of different formats, custom built, custom designed to the smallest detail, mostly completely furnished, homes with gardens, built with natural materials. And we've done about 30 projects so far in the last 21 years, and currently we have 7 projects under construction, 5 in Bangalore, 1 in Pune and 1 in Hyderabad.
Okay, let's talk about fundraising. This is something that a lot of our viewers who write in and call us on a call-in show that we have here on the Leaders of Tomorrow tell us that they find the most challenging. You've just raised funds, I notice. Talk to us about the process, and also talk to our viewers about what they can possibly do if they're in the market for funds, from your own experience.
I think finally everywhere it boils down to trust. When somebody is investing with you, it's very difficult to say what the outcome is going to be at the end of a project or at the end of a few years of business. But what they certainly want is to be able to trust you on the commitments that you're making to them, and because at the end of the day they're relying on you. They don't understand your business as well as you do, and if they can trust you, and if you're upfront with about everything when you start the discussions, then you continue to get funding later on. Otherwise, you might raise the first round of funds, and then after that, nobody's going to want to come to you if you've not kept up to your commitments.
Okay. So, also talk to us about how the environment has possibly changed. Has it changed, in fact, to give us a sense of whether banks are now lending more regularly and more willingly to companies which are in the real estate and construction space? Because there was a whole period of time early last year when bank funding had really dried up. You had NPAs, of course, which are at about a decade high, and that seemed to have impacted really the lending sentiment. Have things started changing?
So banks are only funding construction, not purchase of land and not the starting of a new real estate project, right? So banks are permitted to only do funding after you have all your approvals, and that's just only for the construction. All the rest of the funding for any real estate project comes from private equity funding or NBFCs and things like that. What change we have seen now with the funds is that they are, in the past they would look at very many investments across the board with all kinds of companies. I think some of them have learned over the last 7 or 10 years and have figured out that they'd rather work with fewer established players and take less risk and do larger exposures to fewer players versus doing multiple transactions and not knowing which one's going to work out.
The real estate space, perhaps in India, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is very highly regulated, one of the more regulated sectors in India. We are talking about RERA, of course. You've had some impact really and some conversation and commentary coming out of the budget. How do you think RERA and any other regulations that come in, including GST, will probably change the landscape for your industry?
Yeah, I think it will. RERA will certainly help the real estate industry to become much more mature. For so many years, it's been completely disorganized. Absolutely anything goes was how it was, and that kind of creates a huge issue with customers who are not able to trust anything that they hear. And I think this whole, with RERA coming in, that will change. Customers will be able to rely on data that they see. They will be less scared to go ahead and make their investments. And I think the way everybody works, the way the industry works, that people will have to, get more organized, get systems in place, be very real about their commitments and their, media and publicity and stuff that they do in terms of what they're saying and what they're actually going to do. I think that's certainly going to happen, and I think that's going to be positive for the industry.
Kamal, also talk to our viewers about, while there are a lot of the external environment and, global factors that have taken place over the last year, a lot of that has been factored in, but we still continue to be in a very volatile environment. So if there is advice that you had for them in terms of how to be able to factor that in and ride that out, what would it be?
I think, you want to avoid getting psychologically impacted by all these things. So what we have done is to, focus on all the things that you're trying to do to make your company better. So whether it's processes or training or people or capabilities that you want to develop within the company, I think for us it's almost like we've just been focusing on getting all those things done during these times, so that we can just improve how we deliver as an organization, and it kind of works as a distraction from all the noise that's around about all these other negative things, so that you can just not get impacted by that. Because and also I think the passion, if that's what's driving you, then you have that ability to think past all of this. You have that rather confidence in that passion, that you'll get past all of this and keep going.
Please talk to us about any success mantras that you live your life by and your business by.
I think it's all about relationships and people and feelings. I think it's important to understand that you can't brush aside something like that. So finally, it's about everybody that you deal with, your customers, your vendors, your investors, your employees. Everyone has to enjoy what they're doing with you, and to do that you have to invest time into building those relationships, and that you can't really get that from just money. You might pay your employees very well, but if you don't spend the time with them, or with your customers, if you may be giving them a phenomenal product, but at the same time you still need to maintain those relationships. You need to have that connect. One of the things that's worked very well for me, at least, is been that connect with all our customers. It really helps. When there are any challenges that do come up along the way, then people understand much better if there's a connect.
Thank you very much for speaking with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, Kamal. Time for a break. When we come back on Bright Sparks tonight, we'll feature Only 2 Feet and Imaginarium. You're back with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight we are featuring Only 2 Feet and Imaginarium. Finding a well-made, well-designed and well-fitted shoe can pose a challenge for any woman. Only 2 Feet is a new-age brand that's addressed this dilemma with its range of ladies' designer footwear. Pooja Jain met with the company's founder and slipped into a pair herself to assess how handcrafted shoes that prioritize comfort alongside fashion can make for a winning combination.
Finding a well-made, well-designed and well-fitted shoe can pose a challenge for any woman. Only 2 Feet is a new age brand that's addressing the dilemma with its line of ladies' designer footwear. We caught up with shoe entrepreneur and connoisseur Kavita Sharma and walked through her workshop to grasp her knack for ideating iconic shoes that look good and feel great.
You formerly studied footwear design abroad and have since returned to India as a shoe entrepreneur. So what's your perspective on the unique plus points and perhaps pain points of manufacturing designer footwear in this country?
I've learned handmade shoe manufacturing as well as shoe designing in Italy and in London. So when I came back 2 years ago and decided to launch Only 2 Feet, I was always comparing and I really didn't know what to expect. But the good news is that definitely the advantages far exceed the disadvantages of manufacturing in India. The advantages, of course, is the fact that you're working with people from your own culture. So they understand the Indian woman's needs and wants, and they understand the trends. They also understand the Indian woman's foot anatomy very well. And what's good is also the turnaround times. At Only 2 Feet, we're getting into bespoke shoes in a big way. And with manufacturing here, we can turn it around even in a week's time. If you're not importing, you don't have import duties, so you can pass those cost advantages on to your client and you can give them more value for money. So those are the advantages. And as far as the disadvantages are concerned, also there are many. One is, of course, dealing with labor can be a little cumbersome because timelines and things like that. Quality control is a bit of an issue here. Then that's something that I personally monitor, and I understand where we lack, what are the disadvantages. So I keenly follow it with my karigars and ensure that whatever the disadvantages are, or whatever the things we're not good at, or maybe the lack of infrastructure, those are more than made up.
Ladies' designer shoes seem to be this combination of handcrafted artistry on the one hand and machine-driven modernization on the other. What's the key to striking the right balance?
When you know how a shoe is manufactured, and you've done it yourself with your own hands, you will know that which parts of that process are best done by hand and for which you cannot do without the machinery, okay? Of course, machinery is an added bonus because what it does is it does quality control, especially when you're doing mass-produced shoes. When you're working with skilled artisans who know what they're doing, then definitely they can do what the machines can do and better. Right from cutting the patterns, to lasting the shoe, to the stitching, to the heel fixing, and all of that is done by hand.
Designer footwear is always considered to be of the highest quality, but is not always perceived as particularly wearable or versatile. How do you tackle that challenge at Only 2 Feet?
I'm very clear about the fact that while my shoes will be stylish and on trend, that'll never happen at the cost of comfort. So I'm not designing for magazine covers. I'm not designing only for the runway. I'm designing for the everyday woman. So that is something that we're very, very cognizant of. And when we design and when we manufacture, we follow the highest quality of manufacturing standard. And as far as style is concerned, I think you can be stylish. We work with different kinds of leathers, different colors, different embellishments to make the shoes more stylish. We go for style, but not at the cost of comfort.
As a pure online player, you've made special attempts to personalize the packaging and the presentation of your shoes. What impact are you looking to generate when a customer ultimately receives a delivery at their doorstep?
When I, in fact, thought of the brand a few years ago, I was very clear that when I launched my own label, it will be the entire experience of shoe buying and not just receiving the shoe. And also, it comes from personal experience. I remember shopping for shoes at high street brands where you pay a reasonable amount for shoes and they don't even give you a dust bag. So right from dust bags to this really customized, pretty tissue paper that sort of wraps everything around it. We have an extra heel tip that goes with every shoe. So in case you end up damaging, the heel tip, you have a ready-made heel tip. And we have a little personalized postcard that goes with every shoe, which has a quirky shoe coat. And of course, the box is really pretty, the bag is really pretty. So when it comes to your doorstep, it's really like a present from you to you, right? And the response has been fabulous.
Only 2 Feet seems to have grown well beyond a shopping destination for shoe lovers. It's where one can master the craft of shopping for shoes or pick up pointers on extending the shelf life of shoes. What's next for the brand? What direction are you looking to grow the company in the future?
For me, it's not just shoes. It's really a passion for me. And I wanted the Only 2 Feet website to not just be an e-tailing website or a blog. I wanted to be like this one-stop destination for anything and everything to do with shoes. And that was my intention. So right from shoe care to the must-haves in the closet, to celebrity shoe spotting, and for the trends of the year, all of that you can find on the website. And that is something that I continue to do. As far as our future plans are concerned, we're launching a studio very soon in Mumbai, which we hopefully in a few years maybe take it to other destinations as well. And that'll be not just a store for our current collection and our future collections, but it'll also be a great destination for bespoke shoemaking. So women can just walk in and get the shoes of their dreams designed.
For only 2 feet, the secret to satisfying shoe cravings lies in catering to the customer's wish list. The brand has stayed true to its core competencies and carved out a niche for itself with a hands-on design philosophy that delights women from all walks of life.
3D printing was invented by Chuck Hull as a manufacturing technique in the US over 30 years ago. Despite this, the full potential of 3D printing remains rather untapped in India. Trying to bridge this gap and to bring to India the various effects and the various benefits of 3D printing technology is Imaginarium. Shubhangi Sinha caught up with the leadership team at this company to demystify the entire concept around 3D printing. Take a look.
Need is the mother of invention, but imagination is the core of innovation. And a tool like 3D printing is perhaps the ninja that can convert these futuristic visions to reality. Helping add another dimension to manufacturing, quite literally, is the Mumbai-based company Imaginarium. Breaking away from a traditional hierarchical setup, this company is managed by a core team of 4 individuals to ensure they remain cutting edge in the competitive world of 3D printing.
Imaginarium, as the name suggests, really stands as a company for the power of imagination and the power of imagination to be turned into reality. Take us through a little flashback about your company and how you first started out and what the company Imaginarium really stands for today.
Shubhangi, it's an interesting story because our founders, they come from a very different background. They came in from the jewelry and diamond industry, and they happened to come across a 3D printer in the year 99, I believe, at an exhibition. And that was the time all of jewelry in India was made manually. By around 2003, we procured the first 3D printer to serve the jewelry industry. Ideas are dime a dozen. All of us have ideas of a better product, a better smartphone, a better piece of jewelry, but we have no clue what to do next. These ideas usually die in the sketchbook as a doodle. Our aim at Imaginarium is how can these sketches come out from a sketchbook physically in front of your hands, be it for your own sake or for you to start a business around it. But making anything needs to get democratized, and that's what Imaginarium is trying to do.
Now, 3D printing as a market is still in a nascent stage in the country today. How have you been able to, in that case, manage to build a consumer base who is able to utilize the benefits of 3D printing?
So, within Imaginarium, our different teams touch more than 40 different sectors where, be it automotive, the most natural users of 3D printing are car manufacturers, because every year they need to come out with a new car and every component of it needs to be prototyped. And most recently, the entire healthcare, medical and surgery fraternity has realized and adopted the potential of 3D printing.
I think it's safe to say that one of the most challenging and interesting aspects and applications of 3D printing has definitely got to be the medical applications. How do you really associate with surgeons and doctors and come up with these breakthrough solutions, and how viable are these solutions really?
One of the best benefits or the most proclaimed benefits of 3D printing is customization. You can make custom products, you can make custom designs, things like that. And if we were to talk of the human body, people call it the most custom object there is, or the most custom machine there is in the world. It's a natural fit that 3D printing has huge benefits for the medical industry. Think of a patient who has a tumor on their jaw because of tobacco chewing. It is a very complex case where the tumor is in 3 dimensions, of course, and it occupies spaces that are not visible on a 2-dimensional X-ray or a CT scan. Now, think of the possibilities when you can present to a doctor or a surgeon an exact replica of that patient's body, be it the skull, be it that mandible with the tumor, or be it a kidney with a defect on top. That is the power that 3D printing brings. Eventually, all of this helps reduce the risk at the operation theatre.
Being one of the largest players in the 3D printing space, what is the biggest challenges that you've had to face so far in this journey of trying to build an environment of 3D printing, trying to build an inclusive environment, in fact, for 3D printing in the manufacturing space?
There are domains and industries that do not yet know about 3D printing, or they have a limited knowledge of it, due to which some of them have dismissed it as something not useful. So our first challenge is to get them to really fully explore the possibilities. The other is awareness from the government and regulatory authorities, because it still is not very clearly defined where 3D printing falls in. It is clearly not conventional manufacturing, and it is clearly not something sci-fi that is not real. There are many real applications, but due to lack of clarity on the regulations, so many applications are not yet being fully explored.
Now, Tanmay, on our show, we often try to offer advice to entrepreneurs or MSMEs who are trying to enter spaces or niche markets like that of 3D printing. What is the one piece of advice that you would probably want to give these entrepreneurs who are trying to set up a business in this space?
Please debunk the myths that are surrounding 3D printing. Get your hands dirty. There is a lot of information and misinformation, and a lot of it seems sci-fi. But if you are seriously considering understanding 3D printing or using it in your business or starting a business around it, get your hands dirty and actually maybe come to Imaginarium and find out what are today's applications that are changing the way businesses are run. Get a little experience in getting your ideas to life. So you cannot enter the industry without having used a 3D printer yourself. Come and use a printer, and there's a whole world of new ideas waiting to get converted into reality.
Geared with state-of-the-art technology and a strong vision to build a collaborative environment between man and the machine, staying true to its name, a visit to Imaginarium is bound to leave you pumped on a generous dose of reality that looks a lot like science fiction.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Leaders of Tomorrow. Today we've brought you insights from the real estate space, and there's always so much happening there. If you want to get in touch with us and give us any feedback, do write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. Reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT. You can tweet at me personally using Sunanda_J if you want to reach me, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your questions answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.